Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It is now Wednesday. I messed that up yesterday. Today is Wednesday, February 8th, and we're about to have a fantastic show. This is the Investing Bros. We go live every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we talk about Bitcoin. We talk about stocks. We talk about crypto as a whole. We cover the technical analysis, and we look at all of the important news that you need to know about so you can make the best investing decisions possible. If you are excited for today's show, go ahead and smash that like button. If you're new here and this is your first time joining us, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you love all of those things. We got a couple things to talk about. We're gonna be diving into those charts, looking at Bitcoin's price that looked like it responded a little bullish to yesterday Jerome Powell's speech. We're gonna kind of dive into that. What does that mean? Some cool remarks he had over there, or is it kind of a nothing burger? We'll talk about that and more. But also, last night was the State of the Union address, and it's got some interesting headlines going on. So we're going to be responding and reacting to some things said by President Joe Biden. It's going to be a great show. We have other headlines as well, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce my co-host, T-Shroom. How you doing this morning, man?
Better than I deserved.
Hey,
I'm doing really, really well. And I think that you all will agree that I have a very appropriate quote. That quote is from your boy, William J. Clinton. He said, "Any president that lies to the American people should have to resign." William J. getting it right there with that quote.
I think what he's really trying to get at is that I think he believes we should actually go back to a monarchy because he doesn't think that leaders are capable of telling the truth.
Interesting.
So you shouldn't be a president and lie. Maybe if you're the king, it's okay to lie to your subjects.
That's interesting you should say that, because I actually in college considered myself a monarchist.
You're a monarchist.
You know how when you're in college, you think, oh, you have all these pithy ideas about politics and all these type of things. That was my conclusion, is we should go back to a monarchy. I don't believe that anymore. Or do I?
That's what they would say, you know. Goodness gracious. What do you guys think about the quote of the day? Let me know in chat. Did you guys watch, or have you paid attention to some things said during the State of the Union address last night? It's gonna be fun. We're gonna talk about a couple of headlines here in a second, and then we're gonna introduce and talk about chat. But really quickly, I want to get your reaction to this one, T-Shroom.
Mm-hmm.
It is breaking that the Super Bowl this year, which is on Sunday, which we got to make some predictions on that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're banning and not allowing any crypto ads whatsoever because of the FTX shabacle that happened over this last year. What are your thoughts about the Super Bowl banning crypto commercials?
Well, I mean, crypto's not going to ban the NFL. You know, that's, there's a lot of NFTs on the flow chain that have a lot of official NFL related stuff going on there. So I think it's silly. I think it shows that the NFL doesn't really understand crypto,
right,
and it makes them look like a bunch of adults that have bashed their head against something too many times.
Well, I think this is going to be one of those things. This year they say no. Here, let's watch next year's Super Bowl. They'll be like, yes, all the money from crypto, please come to us. They just had cake on their face from last year, and this is definitely an overreaction. Speaking of Super Bowl prediction, T-Shroom, and then I want the chat to give it. Who is going to win this Super Bowl?
The Eagles.
The Eagles. Yeah, so anyone who doesn't know, Philadelphia Eagles from the NFC will be facing the Kansas City Chiefs. And, yeah, I think the Eagles are a safe pick. I'm going to go with the Eagles as well. But I was wrong. I went 0 for 2 during the semifinal, during the conference final games. I got proven wrong. So that probably means Kansas City's going to win. Let me know in chat. What do you guys think? Bob Saucy's saying the Chiefs. Who else? Man. It is it's gonna be a good one. I'm gonna be gone. I'm gonna be in Maine during that trip. For anyone who hadn't heard yet, I'm leaving Friday. I'll be on the show on Friday morning, but literally, like, we're gonna finish at 10 o'clock. I'm grabbing my bags, put them in my car. My wife and I are driving down to Orlando to fly out to Maine for a family vacation snowboarding trip. It's going to be awesome. I'll be there for the Super Bowl, but I'll still be in Discord, which, speaking of, if you have not joined that already, yes, we have a Patreon down there. You can support the channel, help us do a lot of really cool things, but there's also a free Discord. So if you guys are looking for an amazing community to learn more during the day and get to kind of conversate with people, that's a great Discord. Highly recommend it. Some great conversations going on over there. Go to the link in the description down below, and you can sign up for that today. T-Shroom.
Yo.
Let's do some reading of names. And I'm going to start off here in YouTube. And it's weird because there's a poll that T-Shroom put here. By the way, make sure you guys go answer that. Right now, we are leaning back towards bullish. The poll says, let's see, what does this say? The exact question is, Bitcoin will close blank 23,000 by 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The options are above or below. It started this morning a little more bearish. I saw more people saying below, but it looks like we're now sitting at 66% saying above.
Wow.
So the mood of the audience is swinging bullish. But let's read some of the names of those audience members who are here. Again, this was kind of blocking my view, but I'm pretty sure the first comment was from Mr. J. Shout out to him. He's over there in our Discord. He is one of our actually our Patreon members as well. So big supporter of the channel. Mr. Bitcoin is here as well. Curtis Rorick is here. Yair Navarro, CBD Suddy. Good to see him in here. Glad he's making a fast recovery. He was in the hospital today. Justin Eubanks is here. Who else? Brian Hoskins made a quick appearance. Said he can't stay for the whole thing, but shout out to him for dropping in and smashing that like button. By the way, you guys can go ahead and do that as well. That's that four-fingered mitten right below us as I'm speaking here. Crypto JMP is in the house. Army Piper, one of our newer mods. Man, I love Army Piper. You guys are going to see a lot more of him. Let's see who else is here. Bob. Good to see you here, Bob. Dustin Singer, Steve Shrum, old Papa Shrum.
Steve Shrum.
Eric Wallen, Max PP, Grand Roofy Incorporated, Servando Estrada. I'm in a good mood. Let's read a lot of names. Stephen E. Shrum. So we got 2 Shrums in the house.
Stephen E. Shrum.
And in a way, we do have 2 Shrums in the house. We have the one sitting across from me and then the one commenting on 2 different YouTube accounts. This is awesome. We have another moderator in the house, Cryptex. Shout out to him. Brian D. Mike Play is here. Victor Delgado. Gregory Greziak. He is a great guy, good friend of mine. Used to work together. Josh Denham. I think I said that name. Let's do 2 more. The Philosopher. Good to see him here. Elo Brown, Lane McKillen. I said 2 more, but we'll keep going. Bob Saucy. And the last one, Austin Patrick. Good morning to all of you guys. If you're excited about this show, if you're excited about Bitcoin and crypto today, or even if you're a little bit concerned, go ahead and strap on in. Get your coffee, get your energy drink, get your breakfast, and we're going to go in. T-Shroom, what are some headlines that people should be expecting us to talk about throughout the day? Just kind of tease them, and then we'll move into our TA.
Well, we're definitely going to cover the State of the Union, some of the foibles that may have been observed by the media that came out of the mouth of our fearless leader. And then also we'll talk about the Fed meeting yesterday that may have been a nothing burger, but we might be able to extract some nuggets that could give us a little bit of forecast of the future. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Super Bowl. And then there are a couple crypto headlines, nothing crazy, nothing major. Honestly, it's a pretty good day for crypto. And we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff around that kind of thing. Ooh, so nice. I hope that helps, Tim.
Nice. Well, let's go ahead and jump on in here and do some TA. We might even, the flow of today's show might look a little different too, because I might even say during the TA section, I want to kind of jump into some of the Jerome Powell stuff. Yeah. But go ahead and go to my screen here, T-Shroom. Couple things I'm going to start off by just mentioning, then we'll dive a little bit deeper into the chart. The 4-hourly chart on the Bollinger Bands, and I talked about this yesterday, and we're going to see this, as I go through this, this is going to come back up, but it is constricting once again. You see this bottom levels coming up. We're bouncing currently on the 4-hourly SMA. The resistance levels coming down. Constriction leads to breakout. So if you guys have not heard me say that before and you love me saying it, I'm going to say it again today, and I'm going to say it in future shows. I love seeing constrictions because you're going to get a lot of volatility coming out of it. And so the question at this point is, which direction will that be? So that's the first thing I want to stay with. We're staying above our support levels still. We had a nice little rally yesterday. And this is really, when you're looking at this rally, it kind of boosted up from the Jerome Powell comments he made, where some people were concerned he was going to be a little hawkish. And we'll cover more of the exact things he said. But long story short, it was overall pretty dovish, pretty bullish for the Bitcoin and crypto space. There's one thing I am looking at right here, and this is this candle right here. Yes, it is green on the 4-hourly chart, but that is a shooting star candle. So is it the strongest indicator out there? No, not necessarily, but it is a reversal candle, so that kind of explains these next 3 red ones. This is the 4-hourly chart, so things can change very quickly, but that's just what I'm looking at the chart right there. I want to let's unpack some things we even talked about yesterday, though, because I was watching some other content creators, and I got some comments from people, I believe, over on Twitter, just kind of asking some clarifying questions about the comments that I made yesterday when it comes to the Golden Cross and the Death Cross. So let me catch you guys up to speed in case you guys are not sure what the heck I am talking about. This has been the really big news flooding the Bitcoin technical analysis section, and that is this golden cross right here where our 50 SMA did cross above our 200. This is what we call a golden cross. And they also, on the weekly chart, we're having what we call, it's not happened just yet, but what we call a death cross where the 50 SMA on the weekly is crossing below the 200. Now, I talked about this yesterday. The reason I don't put too much significance into this is, first of all, this weekly death cross never happened in the history of Bitcoin. This is going to be the first time we've ever seen the 50 weekly cross below the 200. Got really close back here in 2015, back in November, but we did not quite make it. And of course, we only have data on the 200 all the way till back here in 2013. So there's not too much you can do with that. By the way, shout out to Mr. Bitcoin who just gave a super chat. Yeah, I'll go ahead and read it. God bless his children. Amen. Amen. Let's keep moving on here, though. Let's go down to the daily chart. Let's take another look here at this golden cross, which is the real one that I think people are kind of hyping up and getting really excited about. The reason why I said yesterday that I don't put a lot of weight in this is because you can see in the history of Bitcoin, when you're looking at this, we get golden crosses all the time. Here's one right here. We have some, when we move back, we have one right here. We have actually two in a very short time frame with death crosses as well. They're just not necessarily the most predictable. But I did hear someone comment, and I want to respond to this. I want to hear what you guys think as well. Someone said the reason why this one is significant is because when you go back and look at what these golden crosses have looked like coming out of bear markets, which again, there's a lot of evidence and reason to suspect potentially what we're looking at right now is us coming out of a bear market, beginning very slowly the next bull market. Why we should only be comparing those timelines. So I want to be fair to that argument. I still disagree. I still think that this indicator should not be as hyped up as it is, but I want to show you why. So yes, right here, we can go back and look at similar timelines that we've compared these timelines to before. Let's go back right here. This is the first, I think this is where a lot of people are kind of using this and saying, Tim, this is why we should be excited about this golden cross. If you go back to the bear market back in 2019, we start to come up out of it. The price action looking very similar to what we're doing right now. You guys see this bottoming out and then rally. Look, that's almost the exact same thing. And look at that. The golden cross kind of shows in the exact same spot. I'll go ahead and just get rid of that golden line. I want to do that so I can get to it quickly. And then we continued to rally. In fact, we actually ended up rallying another, let's see, when this happened, we ended up rallying 176%. So that's a great way to go back in history and say, wow, Tim, look, that golden cross was beautiful, right? I'm going to spoil it. No, it's not. That's great that happened, but is it possible that that's just a coincidence? Let's go look at the other bear markets on the daily chart and see what happened back here. So here we go. Golden cross. I'll go ahead and get rid of my yellow line. Golden cross. We're coming up. We bottomed out in this bear market, and it's time to move on. Well, guess what? Nice little rally. Guess what? We came back up above previous levels. And in fact, this one actually sends us down after the cross. Let's go. Let's see. It happened right about here. We ended up dipping back down another 41% after that. Now, yes, we had a death cross right here, and then this golden cross, actually, it's kind of funny. When you look at this golden cross, it's midway here. We did rally a little bit higher after it, but of course, then we came back down, retested the support. Either way, this is an example of, hey, golden cross coming out of a bear market, heading into a bull market. It ended up being invalidated. Ooh, okay, could this one not be invalidated as well if we get some really bearish news that ends up sending the market back down? Let's keep going back even further. Now, this is a weirder bear market. This is really early days of Bitcoin, but I'm just going to show you back here in 2012, we had this little bear market from the highs in 11, came back down. It looks like we're coming back out of it. We get our golden cross, and look at that. Boom, we end up crashing, then moving sideways. What is the point here? I stand by what I said yesterday. Golden crosses are overrated. They are lagging indicators. What we're using it for is to try to make this future prediction. But in reality, when you go back and study the evidence, if we just took every single golden cross on the daily chart into perspective, it's inconclusive. But I even wanted to suffice and say, all right, let's go look at only when it looks like we're finishing a bear market, heading back up into a bull market, and it's still inconclusive. One went up, one went down, and one went sideways. You cannot put faith in this golden cross and think that this is your ticket to new highs for Bitcoin. It just doesn't work like that. So let me know in the comments What do you guys think? Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? I want to hear what you guys think. Let's keep looking over here at Bitcoin, though. However, you guys might be wondering, what is this rainbow chart thing going on with Tim's chart? These are the levels I'm watching for. I told you guys. I said it, I'd say it again. 4-hourly chart, Bollinger Bands. We are constricted at the moment, meaning a breakout is coming. The question is, where will that Bitcoin breakout end up taking us? And that's the reason for these little rainbow lines. Let's do our Bollinger Bands down. Let's go back out to the daily chart and pull up our fixed range volume profile. Kind of show you a little bit of why I think these ranges are important. Let's kind of open up this whole area here. I like to keep my volume profile on the right, but you can still see my candles through it. Look at what we're sitting in right now. We've been hovering now ever since back here in January on the 22nd. We've been hovering here between about 22.5 and all the way up after we came here and touched 24,000. So this is kind of the range we're sitting in. And if you're looking at the volume, this paired with some action that we had back in August and July of 2022 has kept us in this region. The question is, when we make this breakout, where are we heading? So the first thing I'm looking at, this zone right here, can we get above that 24.2 that we just peaked out at here a couple of days ago, and then that zone all the way up to rematch the highs we had back in August of 25,200. That's where it really should be. Yeah, 25,200. If we can get above that zone, now there's just not a lot in this space stopping us from rallying all the way up towards 27,700 or even higher, 28,700. Did I say 27,700? 27,700 and 28,700. So watch that zone. If we get a bullish breakout, these are the rejection levels I'm watching, and I'm using this fixed range volume profile to kind of give a nice little area of what I'm looking at. Now, when we're looking at a breakout to the downside, we do have this strong support starting right here at 22,500. We do. The zone for that kind of comes down towards 21.9. And if you're looking why that is, in this volume profile, yes, we have some peaks. We had a former top back here in September. We also had one over here in July, but there's just not a lot of volume right here. When you've been hovering above and you start to make a breakdown, sometimes bears run out of steams at the bottom of valleys. They also get some rejection at the top. So you're going to see when I'm using this fixed range volume profile, I'm looking at both peaks and valleys as significant levels to be watching for, as well as kind of looking back in history and saying, hey, when we got to these price actions, were these used for strong levels of support and resistance? The next rally, the next one, and I think if we do turn bearish, this is the one that I'm putting a lot of weight in. More than likely, I'm probably scooping up some more Bitcoin if we fall down into this range, and that is between 21.5 and down here towards 20,500. A lot of volume happening right here, but also if you're looking right here, there's just a lot of rejections and supports. Not only is there a lot of candle bodies in here, the most candle bodies are going to be down here towards the 18.7 up towards 19.7. That's where there's a lot of volume, but a lot of support and resistance levels are peaked out in this range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see here, 7. There's just so many times that we rejected in both directions at these levels. So this yellow line is one that I'm looking at with a lot of views and saying, hey, can we end up falling in that range? If so, that's to me a very good buy spot to continue to accumulate more Bitcoin for this upcoming bull market. I want to remind, I haven't talked about this before. The other thing that we're looking at for the more bullish side of Bitcoin to remember is the breakout of this falling wedge pattern. Yes, our momentum has slowed down, but remember, with this falling wedge pattern, which has not been taken out of consideration yet, like it's not over just yet, there's still a chance with this prediction tool that this has us rallying up towards 25,400. That's the prediction it has. Let's see, actually, let's go to the off. I think I drew this on the linear chart, so I want to be fair to that same prediction. I was just checking out the log chart. Let's go back to this. Scrolling out, moving over to our breakout point. I think it's actually a little bit higher. It might be calling for 26. Yeah, 26,100. Either way, give yourself a little bit of a zone there. 25.5 to 2,600. That's a good little zone to be watching for a good take profit level. Again, you do what you want to do with that, because if we get up into this zone, yes, that's where the prediction breakout is, but there's also just not a lot of resistance keeping us from that 27,000. That is what I'm looking at here on Bitcoin with traditional technical analysis. Let's take a quick look at what Chart Prime is saying. Here on the 4-hourly chart, we did here just a couple of days ago get that oversold signal pretty beautifully at the bottom. And you're going to notice this is one of the reasons why I'm falling in love with Chart Prime's oscillators, Chart Prime's indicators. These are really good calls. Overbought, that's a peak. Overbought, that's a peak. if I were to scroll and just show you guys, there's a couple where it gets overbought or oversold and continues to move sideways a little bit. But these signals for an oscillator have been beautiful. You're also going to notice, for anyone who struggles to read divergences, it will let you know when divergences have popped up, both bullish and bearish. Should you use every single one of them? No, but to watch those and to continue to have confluence of trend reversals in the market, Chart Prime does a beautiful job of doing that here with its oscillator. But even more specific, let's take the oscillators down. Let's take a look at what we have going on here. And I pulled up that Bollinger Band earlier in the normal chart, but we're seeing the same thing happen with the reversal zones here on Chart Prime that are saying, hey guys, watch out, we are constricting. You're noticing that we're coming back down towards, this is called the dynamic reactor. A lot of times that can be used for strong, once you pulled above it and stayed away from it for a long time, it can be used as resistance zone to keep your eyes on. So watch, even if Bitcoin moves down, this dynamic reactor is continuing to move to the upside. Yes, it's curving over a little bit, but it's continuing to move to the upside. I'm watching potentially for a bounce there. Another thing we talked about here yesterday with Charts Prime, in case you're new to it, if you've never seen it before or you're considering it, this little zone right here, I love these prediction ranges. It has different levels. The purple is kind of the extreme. It's saying, hey, based off where we're moving, that would be an extreme movement. The red and the green right here, they're not as extreme, but it's still big. Price likes to stay as much as it can between these two golden lines. Well, guess what? That's where we kind of bounced yesterday. Yes, some wicks dropped below, but we kind of bounced yesterday off that golden line. So we're sitting on the lower end of this whole thing. And then you're looking here on the 4-hourly chart, we have a room up to the upside before we get to kind of a premium spot on a larger scale of saying, hey, we're sitting in a little bit of overbought territory. So I'm still seeing some move to the upside. And again, breakout coming. All of this is going to reset. The question is, how far does it go to the upside? Let me look at one last thing. I'm pretty sure there's also a trend line. This is really cool. If you're not good with technical analysis, if you're one of those people who ask, hey, Tim, how do I know where to draw trend lines? How do I know how to see levels of support and resistance and indicators? It'll actually help you out. We got some nice support there. I guess it was the 4-hourly chart. I'm kind of watching this former support level. Watch us potentially rally back up towards it. Come on now. That is one thing. On a live show, it takes a second to load. So forgive me for that one. But once you have it and you're using it as a tool, it's very, very, very helpful. Go ahead and load for me now. Come on, Chart Prime. There we go. All right, so former support level we've been rallying with. We lost here the other day. Watch. This is very common with technical analysis. This gives you a beautiful level. Watch us potentially try to rally back up towards it to turn it into resistance, or maybe even recapture it to continue to the upside. Either way, what I'm seeing, yes, there's some evidence out there that says we could go down. Yes, there's some we could say go up. I'm not necessarily going to make a trade with a massive amount of confidence just based off the charts. But what I do know is a breakout is coming. So I'm going to use these charts to kind of make some price predictions into the future with if-then statements. And then when you pair this, and we're going to go and transition now from TA after, well, I'll look at one more thing, but we're going to transition here. The other big thing is, what does the market look like? There was a lot of hesitation over the last couple of days with Bitcoin because of some suspectful things. We had the State of the Union. We had Jerome Powell speaking. I don't even remember where he was speaking at, but he was going to get able to speak again. People were concerned he was come out hawkish. With them being more bullish reactions, there's a good chance we could see another pump up to the upside. And another thing we're kind of looking at here the other day, this last thing, and then we're going to transition into some stories here. I want to show you guys what's happening on the Dixie. Not really sure why I pulled up that one. I'm going to go to traditional TA for the Dixie. But something I mentioned, we had this little level right here, former support all the way back in June. I mentioned this level. I told you guys, those you're watching, watch for 103.3 to be resistance. Let's pull up our SMAs as well, because those are going to be very important. And guess what? Yes, we had a wick that popped through that might have been a little bit of a fake out, but where did we reject? Where did this green candle close? Where can we have not closed above? We've not gotten above that 50 daily SMA. We have not gotten above, so that former support line now turned into resistance. Yes, Dixie could make another push, but this is another bullish sign that as we got to a place of kind of, hey, what's Bitcoin's next move? And we know Bitcoin traditionally trades at the inverse rate of the Dixie. Seeing this resistance level, seeing that it got a little bit overextended, is a very, very bullish thing for Bitcoin. With that said, though, T-Shroom, let's dive in. I want to talk a little more about Jerome Powell, because I do think that what he said, it shouldn't have, but it did have impact on the price of Bitcoin and crypto and the stock market. Let's kind of unpack a little bit of what happened there.
For sure. I'd be glad to. Well, yeah, so he spoke yesterday, and we actually went live on the Discord. Didn't have a ton of people tune in, but Army Piper and I, we kind of broke it down and had some fun analyzing what was said, and we can get into some of those details right now. This one comes from Watcher.guru. This piece here says Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell expects 2023 to show significant declines in inflation. That was really the most dovish and most bullish keywords there that you could have expected from Jerome. Within the first few minutes, Zero Hedge tweeted that if he was going to say anything hawkish, he would have said it. And that was because I believe the interviewer volleyed a nice little meatball right down the center of the base saying, hey, you know, is there any reason to be hawkish, to be really bearish here going into 2023? And Jerome didn't answer that in the affirmative. So that kind of got the meeting off to a great start. The S&P rallied on that news. But let's get into some of the quotes. That was kind of how it played. That was kind of the play-by-play, just watching it live. But getting into some of the quotes here. So he said that the disinflationary process, there's that word again, of getting inflation down has begun, and it's begun in the goods sector, which is about a quarter of the economy. So that's great. You know, that's what you want to see. And then also he said, but it has a long way to go. These are very early stages, kind of pumping the brakes on what could be interpreted as an overly bullish statement there. But it didn't stop there. He said, we expect 2023 to be a year of significant declines in inflation. It's actually our job to make sure that's the case, Powell concluded. My guess is that it will take certainly into not just this year, but next year to get down close to 2%, which of course is the Fed's target rate for inflation, which is currently, as of February 8th, if you're listening to the beautiful sultry sound of my voice, at 6.5%, which, you know, is a huge improvement from where we started at the peak at 9.1%. So across the board, this meeting was interpreted as dovish. If you kept watching after the first 5 minutes, you would have basically been watching what essentially was kind of a podcast between Jerome Powell and the interviewer, which was pleasant. You know, he'd kind of asking him, so how do you guys make these decisions? Do you make them at the front end of the meeting, or do you vote at the end? Like, how many times do you meet with each board governor before you make a decision? It's like all these like kind of inside baseball type of questions, which were interesting for nerds like me and Army Piper to kind of listen in on. But I would imagine that most people tuned out of that at that point because, you know, the interviewer had given him that meatball. Hey, are you going to say anything hawkish? You know, this is what CNBC, this is what Bloomberg is expecting you to say something hawkish here. Are you going to do it? Jerome didn't. And so it was just dovish and bullish buying through the rest of the day. Well, there was a big green candlestick on the S&P, and then it sold back down, and then there was another green candlestick. So it got into some volatility, but overall it closed bullish. So overall, clean bill of health. Tim, did you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of alluded to it yesterday morning, but I thought it was going to be a nothing burger. I thought he was going to do something similar to he did last month, where he didn't even really mention anything about U.S. inflation or U.S. interest rate planning or anything. Well, the fact that he brought it up at all, and it seemed to be more dovish, yes, to be fair, he gave it a caveat of saying, hey, we're in the beginning stages. We got a long way to go. That could have been interpreted as bearish, but we all knew that, and he's been talking about that for a long time. What's good is the change of phraseology he's been using, especially using that word disinflation, where he's pretty much saying, hey, we got out of control here. Inflation got out of control. We had to get strict with it, and it's paying off. We're not done. We don't want to call it too early, but just so you guys know, we got this. And that's kind of the mood that he's had these last 2 times he's spoken on it is, hey, do we have more to do? Yes, we do. Are we done raising? Not necessarily. But we finally have control. He's talking like a man who has confidence, who doesn't feel like he's bad. Like, I think for the longest time here in the end of 2022, I think he was realizing how bad he was at his job. I think he knew, like, I am not doing a good job here, and I am going to ruin the economy if I don't do this well. And everybody hates me. And this person wants me to raise it higher. This person doesn't want me to raise it all. I don't know what I'm doing. I think for the first time in over a year, he feels, I'm not doing a bad job. Now, you can still say he's not doing a bad job, but I think as a whole, I think that people are overall happy with what's happened here recently. Gotta wait. Here next week on the 14th, we get the next inflation numbers for January. He's talking like he's expecting them to go down. We will see. If they do, that could be a major, huge pump of confidence into not just Bitcoin, not just crypto, but the entire risk-on asset space.
Yeah, well, my immediate thought was 2 things. First of all, he could still be doing a bad job. It's just oil prices and food prices are going his way for a variety of geopolitical reasons, and just supply and demand reasons. I mean, a big thing is that the supply chains have healed since the pandemic. Those took a long time to heal, and China's only now opening up fully for those factories to get back into process and the world to get their goods again at normal prices and normal quantity supplied. Okay, so the other thing, though, is that during the Discord, I can't remember who it was, but you could shout yourself out. Feel free in the chat. They showed me this indicator, which is really, really cool. This is Trueflation. Have you ever seen this, Tim?
I have heard of it. I've never seen this chart.
So you've seen this? You've heard of this?
Yeah.
Heard of it. Old Seinfeld throwback there. But okay. Yeah, so Trueflation puts us at 5.25%, which absolutely would be quite a decrease from what we are at officially, Fed numbers or CPI numbers, which is 6.5. So this would, if this prints, which apparently it has been, it's been tracking the official numbers have been tracking well with this Trueflation year over year, and you can find that at trueflation.com. And then also you have the nowflation. Is that what it's called?
Nowflation?
Yeah, nowflation, whatever. This is the Cleveland Fed. This is the thing I brought up the other day. This is kind of more their forecast, but they're forecasting 0.68 for January 0.63. So, and then in February 0.68. So that may actually have flipped since last we were looking at it, because that number that's higher than what it was before. Yeah. So, we'll see. We'll have to stay tuned on all of these things, but we are at market open here, so we want to go ahead and jump in. We'll start in energy here, guys, and we're starting there because that is the heart and soul, the heartbeat of inflation, which is kind of the big theme here, 22 and 23, as the Fed continues to fight and keep bulls' dreams alive there. So starting off, oil making a little bit of a pump to the upside this morning here. Let's take a look at that price. Whoa, got a lot of indicators here turned on. Let's turn off some of these colors. So here, as you can see, making a pretty good slice right back through this line of what is now resistance, but was able to flip support, and now it's making back a run back up here to 83. Will it get that high? I doubt it. I think it's going to print a lower high here from where we went up to 82.57. And I think it's gonna come back down, and oil prices are gonna try to put in some new lows. That's at least is my prediction. Just my own humble prediction, because we haven't really seen oil prices. I say that because one of the big stories was the China opening, and we just haven't seen oil prices really get any momentum from that. And so I think that there was kind of an overestimation of that.
We only have 12 more years of oil. So.
We'll get to that, Tim. We'll get to that. Tim's jumping the gun here with our State of the Union coverage. But let's keep moving, guys. Natural gas opening up lower. We'll keep going here. The indexes are all red across the board. Let's see who's leading the way. Okay, so the Dow is the least sold off at down 0.3%, and the S&P and NASDAQ are both down exactly 0.5% when I started that sentence, at least. So that to me doesn't say much, to be honest with you. But if I had to interpret it, if I was forced to, I'd say that there's a little bit of a slower rotation out of security, meaning security is kind of the name to be in, at least in this 5 minute range that we're trading in. Okay, and going into crypto, you're seeing red on the screen, but there's definitely pockets of green, which is good. You're seeing Cake continue to march higher there, and Tron and Matic are leading the way for crypto this morning. Atom also clinging to that green status, which is always good to see. Let's see who's leading lower. I think you'd have to give it to Uniswap this morning on my watch list. Uniswap down 1.5%. Avalanche down 1.8 though. Okay, so Avalanche doing the worst in the early minutes of the New York session. But let's go ahead and take a look at metals, and gold and silver are both green. They have had a nice little haircut here recently. Let's see how much so they're bouncing right off this support level that I have drawn. T-Shroom can draw some support levels right at $22 for silver. And let's see if gold's bouncing off anything. No, I'd say it's kind of in no man's land, but it's bouncing off this uptrending line of support, but it's trending below it. So it's like a little caterpillar trying to figure out if it wants to fall off this line of support or not. How often do you get to hear Caterpillar analysis in TA. Not very often. Only on the Investing Bros. Looking at the mega cap stocks here, you can see that tech is selling off this morning. Google leading the way sharply. Guys, this is actually kind of concerning. I don't know that there was much news on Google. Tim, might be good to see.
I know that Microsoft is up and running. I don't know what the timeline of this was, but I was reading this morning.
Which
Bing is officially now integrated with ChatGPT.
That's right.
So is that it? I don't know.
Yes. We so it looks like here, just interpreting the morning's reaction to these different mega cap tech names, Microsoft up 3%. Let's go. That's what those are the bags that your boys got holding. Okay, which is a good thing. And then Google is getting sold off even lower now than when we first started to observe it. So down 6%, guys. So be wary of that name. Also might be a good time to buy. Potentially if we can find a bottom there for Google.
I think it's definitely setting up a good buying opportunity because, again, we had that news we talked about the other day that they're going to have their own competition to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And so we'll see. I mean, we'll see how effective it is, but maybe they can even make it better. And that's what's really cool about this kind of stuff, especially when it's going to come to a rival between Bing and Google. Nobody cares which one was first.
Yeah.
It's going to be which one is better. And Google now getting some time to process ChatGPT and analyze it, there's a chance that what they can do is say, hey, this is really cool, but here's where there's gaps. Let's make this even better.
Yeah, well, it looks like The Verge is definitely reporting on it with running a headline yesterday at 7 a.m. saying Microsoft and Google are about to open an AI battle. After 6 years of peace, the two tech giants are on course to butt heads again over the future of artificial intelligence. So, Tim, hitting it right on the head over there with his analysis. He's got his finger on the pulse of the market, guys, not just crypto, but stocks too. Well, looking over at the bond yields, guys, we are seeing the younger yields sell off. Well, nothing's selling off because it's just yields, but the younger yields are coming down, and the older yields are going up, which is interesting. I'm sure Caleb Franson could provide some insight on that. I mean, ultimately, what does that mean? It means that there's probably not as much hope, or there's no. It's the opposite. So there's more hope in the short-term treasuries. Because there's the disincentive for them to be bought, meaning that the value is actually going up. That is an accurate reading. And then for the longer term treasuries, there's less demand right now, so that the yields are having to go up to incentivize purchasing of that. So, the bond market is basically saying, not very strongly though, I would add, these are all pretty low numbers. The bond market is basically saying we want to buy tomorrow. We don't want to buy necessarily the 20 and the 30 year.
CryptoSec guy just commented, so I go with the 30 yield because I'm 30, correct?
Yes, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Yep.
You buy your age.
Except you add or subtract, depending on how old you are. All right, so continuing to move on here, we've got cannabis here, pretty mixed. So I'd say this is pretty inconclusive, although you're seeing a nice little sell-off there in CGC in the early minutes of the New York session here, guys. Mid-cap stocks, green across the, this would have been a good stock to pick up yesterday. It had a nice big red candle. If you'd picked it up here at the bottom of this wick, this is the daily chart, so you could have easily scalped this right here at 23. Now you're up to 26. C3.ai, a stock we've been watching, huge AI name. But honestly, I can't remember I think it was Army Piper yesterday, actually, on the Discord live when we were watching the Fed, when we were watching Jerome Powell say his picks for AI is actually Google and Microsoft. And this morning, Microsoft obviously winning that battle. But if you're looking for like a smaller, more scrappy company out there, C3.ai, one to watch, not financial advice, but you're seeing green across the board, other than Coinbase and Jenny. So continuing to move on down, we've got our oil producers green. And that probably has to do with some ironic cynicism about yesterday's State of the Union address, and also the ban on all Russian oil flowing into Europe that went into effect yesterday. So let's go ahead and let's dive right on into
let's take a
story.
Pause.
Before we do, let's take a pause. I was just about to say, let's take a pause and let's see what Tim is thinking.
Yeah, let's read some chat here for a second. We got a little bit of time here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Got some interesting things happening on over here. First of all, let's see what we have. I gotta scroll back up to find it. Some people talking about their work. There was good. First of all, T Baz T-shirt said that thumbnail is killer.
Yes,
definitely Definitely. John Kahn saying, I also think Google can end up being a good buy. Yeah, I think it's going to be. So's Majid, I think Majid maybe, said Google's a search machine. I think it will be better than GTP. I think he meant GPT, but that's just a little typo.
We'll
You think Microsoft and Bing can overtake Google?
Yeah, I mean they can. Yeah.
Well, yes, but I'm saying will. Will, I guess that's a good way.
I don't know. I think that I think somehow Google was caught by surprise on this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look good. Like right off the bat, the gun's gone off the start. They're off to the races here. I think Microsoft's in the lead by quite a bit here. But you don't count somebody like Alphabet out just yet. But I think right now Microsoft's looking pretty strong with its acquisition of ChatGPT there. So.
Yeah, I'm checking here, making sure people talking about where they're from. People are talking about Cali. Let me know if you guys are from Cali, because we do have a good amount of Cali fans. What are you guys' thoughts about what's going on there? Are you wanting to stay in Cali? Are you trying to move? We should be seeing and hearing from Matt C here soon, one of our favorites out there in Cali. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Let's go ahead, T-shirt though. Just good engage chat. Just so you guys know, that's gonna be bigger in the future. I know that's something we haven't done a lot in the past. That we just take a pause to kind of read chat, kind of engage with you guys. So make sure, especially as we're getting to some of these levels, you guys are asking good questions, making good comments, and we're gonna start reading and engaging with you guys a lot more. With that said, though, T-shirt, let's jump back in and cover some headline stories, and you can take it away.
For sure. Well, let's do that. Let's see what we got going on over here. Well, I'll start on Fox Business. Basically, guys, this is the headline right here. Biden keeps making claims about the economy that just aren't true. These facts don't lie, and so these came out, and this is pretty much the gist of it in his State of the Union address. The president's retelling of events is also incongruous with his own previous statements on inflation. Incongruous, I believe, is the pronunciation. Incongruous.
I think it's incongruent.
I think you can do it either ways. We need to ask Cryptex because he is the true keeper of the original English. But I don't know how he would be able to communicate to us.
I think it's incongruous.
Incongruous? It's incongruous.
It's definitely a fun one.
Anyway, so he will say that inflation was merely transitory. Why then would he decide to run for president on a transitory issue? And why would he now take credit for reducing inflation if it is only transitory to begin with? So a bit of a foible and a failure of logic there observed by foxbusiness.com. Don't worry, guys. If you're less inclined to throw shade at Biden, we'll be hearing from another publication that you might have a little bit more fondness for. But let's keep reading here. Using Biden's own logic, President Trump added 12.5 million jobs in 9 months, averaging 1.4 million jobs per month. Biden has added 12.1 million jobs in 2 years, averaging 500,000 jobs per month. So kind of criticizing the jobs figures that were mentioned there in the State of the Union. Did Trump create more jobs in less time than Biden? According to Biden's logic, yes. But the entire discussion of merely regaining lost jobs after the government-imposed shutdown is mostly meaningless, and that's pretty easy to agree with there. And before trying to misrepresent them in the State of the Union address, Biden should consider the words of Winston Churchill. United wishes and goodwill cannot overcome brute facts. Truth is uncontrovertible. Panic may... Oh, there's more to this. Okay, sorry. Panic may resent it. Ignorance may deride it. Malice may distort it. But there it is. And we're going to also tune in here to CNN Politics because they've also done a couple snipes here. So this was one of the Biden's claims. He said, in the last 2 years, my administration has cut the deficit by more than 1.7 trillion, the largest deficit reduction in American history. So remember, CNN Politics, fact-checking. Biden's boast leaves out important context. It is true that the federal deficit fell by 1.7 trillion under Biden in 2021 and 2022 fiscal years, including a record 1.4 trillion drop in 2022. But it is highly questionable how much credit Biden deserves for his reduction. Biden did not mention that the primary reason the deficit fell so substantially was that it had skyrocketed to a record high under then President Donald Trump in 2020 because of bipartisan emergency pandemic relief spending. So They put it pretty plainly there. Didn't hold back any punches. We've got one more, but Tim, it sounds to me like you may have a reaction to what I just read. What's that reaction?
All right, so I'm a big sports fan. And
okay.
I love listening to analysts kind of break down and talk about what's happening there. I'm a fan of it. I love the show. It's always funny, though, watching the ones that are really, they just only they care about statistics, but they like to make arguments based off statistics. And statistics are great, but they don't take into consideration some garbage statistics. Like, for example, they're going to go after this quarterback and say, well, he threw this many interceptions. So it's like, well, let's go evaluate those interceptions. How many of those were junk, like last second ditch at the end of the half, at the end of the game, just trying to throw it up to see if they can score a touchdown to win. He ended up getting an interception. Others, how many of those were his wide receiver had it in his hands, it bounced off his hands, gets intercepted. My point is, statistics don't tell the full story, but when they're convenient for the argument you want to make, people like to jump on it. It sounds like that's what Biden and his administration is doing. Is they're just scavenging and saying, what is a way we can say we are good? Because their approval rating is abysmal.
It's rough.
But if you can find these bogus statistics, I mean, to be fair, because like this is what we're kind of getting at. Did he lie?
Kinda.
He found convenient truths and left out very key details. That depending on what you think, that is a lie of omission. But he's going to think in his brain, I just read the statistics. I just looked at the facts, and I'm just. It's like, well, guess what? Statistics don't always tell the full story.
Well, you know what you're making me think of is, you know how there was like in going back to sports, you know how there was like an asterisk that was kind of the meme, like during the pandemic. Any kind of sport accomplishment came with an asterisk. So like whoever won the national champion, whoever won the Super Bowl, kind of came with an asterisk.
If there's any debate on it,
because the other team may have been quarantined like the night before.
I've never heard about that, but
whatever.
You continue. Yeah,
you ever heard of that?
I've never heard.
You must not. You need to watch more sports coverage. So.
I think you're making this up.
What
okay,
let me know in the chat. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where there's asterisks.
Give me a game. Give me a game that this is.
I think it was the NBA Finals. One of them was like, oh, this is the outcome here.
The asterisk, you're talking about the year of the pandemic, and it was all right. I thought you were talking about this thing that happens like all the time.
No. Just the pandemic. Okay. So now I may have lost my train of thought. Let's see if I can get back on board. I got him rolling over there. So you have these asterisks next to these sporting events. It's almost like, and that's basically what Biden is doing here, as we'll see in just a second. I've got one more quote from Brian Sullivan of CNBC, who actually looks like he's a Hokies fan too, Tim.
Come on, that's a good guy.
But basically, if you look at what happened, if you look at the charts of like the pandemic, and then you look at like it was just crazy, like unemployment went down like 30% and then shot up 60% and then came back down 30%. So it's like if you draw your plot from the top of one of those or the bottom of one of those and then bring it to the present, it's going to look really impressive. So it's kind of like an athlete back in the pandemic saying, "Oh, well, I was the top running back, and you like didn't even make it into the NFL because reality will knock you in the face." We got one more here to read from CNBC from CNN Politics. The claim was, in the past 2 years, Democrats have become stronger, not weaker.
Democracies.
Yes. That is an important distinction. I'll start over. In the past 2 years, democracies have become stronger, not weaker. Autocracies have grown weaker, not stronger. And again, CNN Politics fact check says this claim is at odds with the data from Freedom House, a leading nonprofit that tracks democracy and human rights around the world. They say democracy has been in a global decline over the past few years. A lot more details here, but let's skip over to Brian Sullivan's Twitter page. And look here, Brian Sullivan, anchor of CNBC, and he is a VTech Hokie. So
come on, what a guy.
So
this is the new source for everything we ever do.
Yes, I'm going to give him a follow and check. So this is the oil one, right? So the claim here from Biden was, we're going to need oil for at least another decade, which, you know, that's kind of a misleading comment anyway. But Brian Sullivan fact-checked it and said, even the most bearish oil predictions, IEA, has global oil demand at nearly 80 million barrels per day 25 years from now. And he quotes this. I mean, he says it plainly there. We don't need to, if you want to look at it there, you can. Here is the, which one is this? A labor force. So he says, love to buy and build American theme. Overdue. Just hope we still have the workforce and manufacturing capacity, labor force, and has been hard hitting the last few decades. And as you can see there, you know, this is kind of the type of chart that you could easily manipulate to make yourself look good. Guys, overall, getting out of the weeds, overall, this kind of played more of as a campaign speech than a State of the Union. The State of the Union really should read like a balance sheet. This is what's going on. This is our main concerns. This is how we're going to change it. It read more like vote for me in 2024. And it was silly, right?
Yeah, and I think another thing to kind of even speculate here, and this is getting political, but ultimately we're talking about the State of the Union, so we're getting political here. Do we actually even think the Democratic Party wants Joe Biden to rerun? And here's why I'll say this. I have not ever seen CNN be that critical
was my thought
of
too,
a Democrat. Is even the Democratic Party working with CNN to say, hey, let's discourage him? Thank you for beating Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Your time is done.
Yeah.
Step aside. We're going to make it to where the polls just no way you're going to win.
Yeah.
And he's going to then gracefully step aside and I don't know if they want Kamala or they want somebody else to represent the Democratic Party. I don't know. But I think this whole thing, like you said, I think Biden and his smaller camp are trying to hold on for another reelection.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we're looking at right here is the Democratic Party is starting to fight it and say, Joe, no, like you're not going to do this again.
Yeah, I had the same thought. Could the speechwriter perhaps have been working with forces that don't necessarily want Biden to be successful in 2024, Biden specifically? That definitely crossed my mind. So it's interesting that you picked up on that too.
I don't read all of them. So someone fact-checked me about what I'm about to say about fact-checking. I've never seen CNN fact-check a Democratic opinion.
Yeah.
I to be fair, I've never seen Fox fact-check a Republican's opinion either. But it is interesting. I mean, tell me guys, if you guys have seen it before, let us know. But that is, for me, that's a first. So that was a really interesting thing to look at a CNN article critical of old Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. There is American Kahani. I'm not sure how reliable this is going to be, but there is looks like it's the Wall Street Journal, and it's not. Chief White House speechwriter Vinay Reddy is main architect of Biden's State of the Union address. So this is the guy who wrote it. This would be the guy, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, guys, to find out if he's trying to sabotage Biden in 2024. Look, zooming out, probably not. Probably these guys are super gung-ho Biden fans, but it doesn't look great. It doesn't, he didn't. What's weird is that the media seems to be in lockstep this morning. If you scroll across a lot of different publications, left or right, it seems like everybody's kind of critical of it. And, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It definitely, if I'm Biden, I'm definitely kind of watching my back here. I don't know how many allies I have left. But if I'm also Biden, I'm like, I just want to hit the golf course. I just want to go play dominoes and eat pudding. I don't know. But if he still wants to be in power, if he still wants to cling to it, that's his modus operandi. More power to him, I guess.
Yeah, just even reading chat here. So I'm not, Matt, you're going to have to elaborate here for a second. He said in Investi Rose, yes, they don the fact check after every State of the Union, SOU. Interesting. Josh Denham comments, says, I'm a Democrat and I would prefer a younger person. Yeah, and then that's another cool thing is about the crypto market. Crypto is bipartisan for sure. You do not have to be a Republican, Democrat, anything. I find myself, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, I find myself more in the libertarian camp than anything. There's things I agree with on both sides. But I think, even Democrats, like Josh is saying, even most Democrats are saying, hey, thank you, Joe, for defeating Trump, but step down. Let someone else take up the mantle. Ultimately, here's let's as we're kind of wrapping this up. I will say we kind of went political, but I feel like the comment I'm about to make, no one's going to disagree with. We have not had a good candidate from either major party in a long time. Like, that's the real frustrating aspect of this whole thing.
Not a big Mitt Romney fan there, Tim.
It's always this thing of I feel like every single election here recently has been choose the lesser of two evils.
Okay.
What I mean, and as name the last time. I'm only 28 years old, so there's only been so many elections that I've been privy to. Really, I remember, I have memory of my parents campaigning and doing stuff for George Bush in 2000 or before 2000, I guess. But I would have been like 4 or 5. Since then, since I became more cognitive of politics, I just remember listening to my parents and other people be like, well, he's not really what we want, but better than the other guy. He's less bad than the other guy.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's getting even worse in that direction.
Monarchy. What have I been saying? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, of course. It's always kind of the worst of two evils. I think people liked back when George Bush was running. People liked George Bush. Like even some Democrats liked him. It was a lot less polarized. I remember John McCain. Wasn't like this nasty, hated figure. But now it's like whoever gets up there, they just dig up so much dirt and they find and sometimes that's warranted. I mean, the relationships with Jeffrey Epstein and stuff is disgusting and needs to be brought to light, obviously. Mm-hmm. But it's like it's just. There's a lot of mudslinging that's needless, and we've done a little bit of that today ourselves, of course, here on the show. But it would be nice to have a little more reverence. Now, what was gonna possibly happen here is Ron DeSantis may bring that new tone in. Yeah. He's kind of like the inside guy, where compared to like the Bernie Sanders and the Trumps, who've been seen as like not the anti, but like non-establishment. Leaders. I think Ron DeSantis is very much, although he stands for traditional conservative values, he's not the outsider coming in. He's definitely the insider who's gonna bring peace and bring back stability and kind of what I said in 2016. My mantra was make politics boring again. I think that's what has gone wrong, is that politics has become sports. Politics has become like entertainment. It's become drama.
And here's what I will say: have these last 6 years. So beginning of Trump to let's go 8 years. Trump campaigning starts now through we're still. Have these not been 8 of the most entertaining years in politics?
Yeah, they absolutely have.
In the history of the world.
And Fox News and CNN have been cashing out on entertainment. The late night shows have become political because people have been kind of conditioned to desire political content rather than making fun of the Kardashians or Tom Brady or whatever, people who what they do to be criticized.
They get these politicians to comment on the Kardashians and Tom Brady. It's funny you said those two names because those two names were both figures that were dragged into all this politics.
Yeah. So I think hopefully politics becomes more boring. It becomes more C-SPAN, less Fox News, less CNBC.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're those operators, you don't want politics to be boring. You want Trump to run again. You want a bunch of fireworks, right? But ultimately, we need more DeSantis, less Trump, and less Biden.
I think let us know in chat. Do you guys agree with T. Shroom's 2016 quote? Maybe that should be the quote of the day tomorrow. Let's make politics boring again.
Make politics
boring again.
I mean, I said in 2016 because I just kind of felt things because here's the thing. I was a nerd, right? I was like a politics nerd.
Yeah.
I was in Model UN. We geeked out about it. And then it started like my normie friends started talking about politics. And I was like, why do you care about this stuff? And then it started to pick up. Gosh. And like everybody and their uncle has a political opinion all of a sudden. They're not just quietly going to the polls like generations past. They have like a super strong opinion on every single issue.
Yeah,
it's like somehow you've developed a super nuanced anyway. So not super nuanced, the opposite. You have a black or white position. And it happens to line up 100% with the party you're a part of.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you've done a lot of thinking for yourself. So anyway, you see kind of where my mind and Tim's mind is on all of this stuff. But make politics boring again. Not a bad slogan. Let me know if you guys like that.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna start wrapping up today's show. This has been fun. Bitcoin's kind of still hovering around where it was. Again, breakout is coming. We got Bollinger Bands constricting. Make sure you guys are paying attention to charts. Anything breaking news, yes, theoretically speaking, like most technical analysts will tell you, could go up, could go down. The question is which direction and what are the points we're looking for there. So if you guys missed the beginning of the show, we covered that technical analysis. Make sure to go back and watch that because it was some good stuff. Mm-hmm. We're wrapping up for today. In case you guys wondered, we didn't talk about this. It is Wednesday, which normally we have Super Guest Wednesday. Mm-hmm. We had a one lined up and it fell through. Hopefully we'll be back to it next week. I'll be gone next Wednesday, but we have a couple invites we're sending out. I'm not going to spoil the names. You guys have to come in next Wednesday. Make sure you guys come in also. So I'll be here Friday, but then I'm leaving. T-Shroom will be running it solo Monday and Tuesday. And then Wednesday we'll have another special guest for you guys. And I should be back in this seat next Thursday. I'm taking a little bit of a vacation, going snowboarding up in Maine. If you guys for any of you guys up there, if you guys are going to Snowshoe Mountain, hit me up. That's where I will be. So
I'm not a nerd CryptoSec guy. I'm cool now.
Yeah, okay, he's throwing some shade at you there.
I'm cool.
Well, for the first time in a long time, guys, we are actually closing out the show at 10 o'clock. If you guys just found us, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. We have a lot of fun. Make sure you join us over in Discord. There's a paid version with a lot of cool features behind the scenes, but there's also a free version. The links are down below. Also, something we haven't mentioned in a while, there's a link if you guys are wanting to go to the Bitcoin 2023 conference. You still have time. There's a link down below you can go click on and purchase your tickets today. With that said, though, everybody, we love you guys. You guys have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.